With Fontaine's release in 4.0, players were finally introduced to the highly anticipated Hydro Archon Focalors. With her stage debut in 4.2, Furina has delivered an unforgettable performance. Furina is a 5-star Hydro Sword character within Genshin Impact who brings strong off-field damage, team-wide buffs, and unique team health manipulation mechanics. The Hydro Archon steals the spotlight even as an off-field support, with her teams built around her kit. Furina's normal attacks are very flamboyant, but ultimately unremarkable in terms of damage. However, her normal attack talent is useful in regards to arc alignments. Furina can change arc alignment by using a charged attack. Her current alignment is visually indicated on her character model. Note that Furina's charge attack is unique in that it does not need to be preceded by a normal attack to be used. Ousia is Furina's default alignment after joining the party. She has shorter hair and darker clothing. Furina's Pneuma alignment model has longer hair and brighter clothing. Furina's normal attacks proc arc attacks on hit, with an independent 6-second cooldown for each alignment. It is possible to launch both arc attacks in quick succession by switching alignments between normal attacks. Her arc attacks can be used to trigger effects that require elemental normal attack damage, such as a part of the Mistsplitter Reforged's passive effect. Furina's skill functions differently depending on her current alignment, spawning different entities known as guests. Swapping between alignments causes Furina to despawn any active guests and spawn in entities of the other alignment. However, it does not reset the skill's duration. Note that guests do not snapshot buffs. The end animation should also ideally be dash cancelled during combat. This skill is incredibly useful in the overworld. Furina can freely walk on water while her guests are active. And since her skill has a 20-second cooldown and her guests have a 30-second duration, Furina can move on the surface of water indefinitely as long as she keeps using her skill. Furina's Ousia alignment is her recommended variant during combat. Her Ousia-aligned skill deals 1 instance of hydro damage and then summons 3 distinct guests known as the Salon members. Salon members have the following properties. They follow the active character. They attack enemies independently of one another, with the tendency to prioritize the active character's current target. They periodically apply hydro and generate hydro particles while attacking. They each possess unique damage modifiers, attack rates, and internal cooldowns. And their attacks drain the HP of all teammates currently above 50%. Note that Salon members function as turrets and do not coordinate with the active character's attacks or abilities. Each Salon member also drains a different amount of HP per hit, with each teammate drained directly increasing the Salon member's damage by 10%, up to a maximum of 40%. Every rotation, the Salon members can easily drain at least 50% of the entire team's health pool, so please keep that in mind. Furina's Pneuma-aligned skill summons a single Singer of Many Waters. The Singer of Many Waters works as follows. It is stationary and stays where it spawns. It heals characters on-field at regular intervals within a very large range, akin to that of Nahida's Burst. It does not deal damage, it does not apply hydro, and it does not generate any hydro particles. Furina's Pneuma-aligned skill is only recommended for recovering health outside of regular combat. We do not recommend using the Singer for solo healing against the Salon member's health drain during combat. Furina's Burst deals a single tick of hydro damage and applies the Universal Revelry state to all party members. The duration of Universal Revelry is indicated by a very noticeable UI effect. During Universal Revelry, Furina gains a fanfare point when any characters in the team lose or recover health. Each fanfare point is the equivalent of 1% HP difference for each teammate. For example, a team-wide 24% health heal is equivalent to 96 fanfare points. The maximum amount of fanfare points is 300 at C0 and 400 after C1. A visual indicator will be shown at every quarter interval, so 75, 150, 225 and 300 at C0, and 100, 200, 300 and 400 at C1. Furina increases every party member's damage bonus and incoming healing bonus according to the amount of fanfare accumulated. The maximum of 300 at C0 will translate to a maximum buff of 75% damage bonus and 30% incoming healing bonus at talent level 10. These buffs are dynamic and apply party-wide, allowing every teammate, including herself, to benefit from increased damage and healing. Note that fanfare points are cleared when the burst ends or is recast within the 18-second Universal Revelry duration. Quickly accumulating fanfare points is ideal since it allows higher uptime on maximum team buffs. Team-wide healing and Furina's Ousia aligned skill are highly recommended in her teams to maximize this potential. Furina heals every teammate for a total of 4% of their max health every time the active character is overhealed from sources besides Furina. This healing benefits from her burst's incoming healing bonus. This passive is not enough to counteract her salon members' team-wide health drain, but it can assist another healer in keeping the team above 50%. Furina's guests receive additional benefits that scale with Furina's max health. Salon members' attacks receive up to an additional 28% damage bonus, and the Singer of Many Waters' healing interval is reduced by up to 16%. Both of these buffs cap at 40,000 max health. Since Furina's skill scales with her max health, it is highly recommended to raise her to level 90. Your talent priority should look like this. Furina's skill and burst are of generally equal value. Her skill is the source of her significant personal damage, while her burst offers sizable buffs to her teams. As such, prioritize leveling both. Her normal attack can be left entirely unleveled to save resources, as even with her C6, most of her enhanced normal attack's damage scales independently of talent levels. Furina is already a strong and fully functional character at C0. Her Constellations still provide noticeable improvements to her team-wide buffs and personal damage. Furina's C1 increases her fanfare limit by 100 points and immediately gives her 150 points on burst cast. This constellation increases both the floor and ceiling of her burst's buff. Furina's C2 more than triples the amount of fanfare points generated, which leads to increased uptime on maximum buffs even further. With this constellation, some of Furina's teams can generate more than 400 fanfare points. Fanfare points obtained beyond the cap increase Furina's maximum health, which in turn increases her personal damage output from her Ousia-aligned skill. 3 additional levels on Furina's burst lead to even stronger team buffs, which results in yet higher team damage output. Furina's C4 greatly reduces the need to build energy recharge, since she regenerates 16 to 20 energy in 20 and 25 second rotations. This allows her to use a non-ER weapon and a health percent sans, letting you invest more heavily into offensive stats. 3 additional levels on Furina's skill will increase her personal damage output even more. It's not an extravagant bonus, but it is a significant one. C6. This constellation provides good front-loaded damage and party-wide healing, while also allowing Furina to have a brief on-field presence. On skill cast, Furina's normal, charged, and plunging attacks receive a Hydro Infusion and HP scaling for up to 6 hits or 10 seconds, whichever happens first. These effects persist even if Furina swaps out. Furina's current arc alignment will provide other benefits from her normal attacks and can still be switched freely by performing a charged attack. Her C6 alignment essentially has the opposite effect of her corresponding skill. Ousia alignment causes her attacks to apply a heal over time to her entire team, scaling off of Furina's max health and lasting up to 18 seconds. And Pneuma alignment further increases her attack's damage, but also reduces team health every single hit. Her energy requirements can vary significantly, which leads to weapons with an energy recharge secondary stat performing comparatively better at high requirements. Furina's signature weapon, the Splendor of Tranquil Waters, is her unequivocal best in slot thanks to its huge 88% crit damage stat, as well as both skill damage bonus and HP percent depending on fluctuations in your team's HP. Players should keep in mind that running this weapon in high energy recharge requirements may be difficult. The Primordial Jade Cutter competes very strongly for second place amongst her weapon rankings, but runs into the same problem of being difficult to run in some situations due to her high energy recharge requirements. The Festering Desire, should you have it at rank 5, is both her best 4-star option and her best free option, providing her with ample energy recharge and a skill damage percent bonus. At high energy recharge requirements, this option can actually beat out many of her 5-star options. If you weren't around to get this, well, I'm sorry. The Key of Khaj-Nisut provides Furina with a substantial amount of HP percent, which is particularly beneficial to her personal damage, and the Elemental Mastery buff can be greatly appreciated in certain teams. However, if you're using Furina in a Nilou Bloom team, priority over this weapon should be given to Nilou. Passeur du Fleuve Cendre, or Fleuve Cendre Ferrymen, is Furina's next best 4-star option after Festering Desire. It is free and permanently available, and players can acquire it from the Fontaine Fishing Association at the mere cost of, well, selling your soul to fishing. Good luck. The Favonius series is incredibly useful in general, and the Favonius sword is a reliable solution to meet Furina's high energy recharge requirements. However, this does come at the cost of gutting her high personal damage output. It can be an option, but it is preferable that other characters are given Favonius weapons so that Furina may use one of the previously mentioned options instead. The 5-star crit swords can perform decently at lower energy recharge requirements as crit stat sticks, even if Furina cannot fully utilize their passives. If you do not have any of the previous options and are unwilling to sell your soul to fish for Ferrymen, Harbinger of Dawn is a cheap crit stat stick that can be comparable to Ferrymen. However, this requires powerful and continuous team-wide healing to maintain its passive. 4-piece Golden Troupe is Furina's best set and by a significant margin, performing about 12% better than other options. The vast majority of Furina's damage comes in from her Ousia aligned skills Salon members, making this set a perfect match for her. It is generally recommended to use a HP percent goblet when using this set due to the inherently large amounts of damage percent bonus that it provides. Farm this set for Furina. Not only is this set her best option by far, but it is also paired with an exceptionally powerful set that Furina can enable on any DPS, making it an incredibly resin-efficient domain to farm. The 4-piece Tenacity of the Millelith is a niche buffing option for Furina. She can maintain permanent uptime on the 20% attack buff, but it sacrifices a significant portion of her personal damage. A combination of various 2-piece options can be an acceptable placeholder while you farm for the Golden Troupe set, which you should do. You should farm for the Golden Troupe set. The 4-piece Marechaussee Hunter is a decent option for those who have unlocked Furina's C6 and are looking to on-field her. While the set doesn't do much for her skills Salon members when compared to Golden Troupe, it does strengthen her C6's converted normal attacks, which allows her to front-load a sizable amount of damage. Furina's burst is absolutely essential to her kit and should be used every single rotation. As such, building an appropriate amount of energy recharge is required. However, due to her skill generating particles over time rather than on cast and her being primarily off-field, Furina's ER requirements can end up being quite considerable, particularly if she's the only Hydra on the team. If run as the only Hydro, Furina will need well over 200% energy recharge to burst every rotation comfortably. If run in a double Hydro setup, her energy recharge requirements are fairly softened. If the other Hydro unit on the team uses one skill, such as Xingqiu, Furina's energy recharge requirements go down to about 180 to 210%. If her Hydro partner uses 2 skills instead, for example Yelan, her energy recharge requirements are further lowered to be about 150 to 170%. If paired with Neuvillette, her energy recharge requirements are significantly lowered to 130 to 150%, thanks to his teams generally needing longer rotations. Finally, triple Hydro teams require only about 130 to 140% energy recharge. These energy recharge recommendations are only approximate, and the assumptions are to make sure that she can burst comfortably every rotation. In practice, the energy recharge you need will vary depending on the content, your teammates, Favonius weapon procs, the list goes on. For example, each Favonius proc reduces her energy recharge requirements by about 20 to 30%. Another note is Raiden's Burst lowers her energy recharge requirements substantially. Players interested in fine-tuning their team's energy recharge requirements are welcome to use the energy recharge calculator in the description below. Due to her energy recharge requirements, players may need to consider running an ER Sans on Furina. If ER needs can be met with an ER weapon or other sources, a HP percent Sans should be used instead. We've already mentioned that Furina should use a HP percent goblet if using the 4-piece Golden Troupe artifact set, as her A4 passive scales with her maximum health, and it helps balance out the significantly large number of damage percent bonuses she gets from her kit. However, if you already have a fantastic Hydro percent goblet, then that can also be used. As for her circlet, you should opt for either a crit rate or crit damage one, whichever one gets you closer to maintaining a 1-to-2 ratio. Furina's Ousia aligned skill provides off-field Hydro application and substantial damage at the cost of draining her teammates' health, synergizing with her burst. Her burst gives a party-wide buff that increases when ally health fluctuates. Furina generally starts rotations by using her Ousia aligned skill and then casting her burst. It is preferable to dash cancel at the end of her skill to cast her burst sooner. Thanks to her abilities having a high duration, she often does not need to be swapped to more than once per rotation. Due to how her kit and her burst function, as well as having the constant health drain from her skill, healers who can keep the entire team topped up are recommended. Jean is the primary example of such a character. She consolidates healing with the power of Animo, granting access to potent party-wide healing and cleansing, as well as the powerful resistance shred from 4-piece Viridis and Venera, making her a very versatile teammate. Another option for this slot is Baizhu. Baizhu is currently the only healer who has a team-wide heal on his skill as opposed to his burst. His burst provides more healing for the on-field character, as well as interruption resistance via small shields. He also provides some measure of off-field Dendro application, as well as a buff to Dendro reaction damage, making him a particularly good option for Dendro-based teams. Mika is yet another option in this category. His burst heals the entire team, and then provides further healing for the on-field unit. Additionally, Mika's buffs can be very valuable for some units, such as Eula, who appreciate his physical-focused buffs. Other non-physical units, such as Wriothesley, can make good use of his attack speed buff as well. If players do not have Mika, then an alternative cryo healer is Charlotte. While her ER requirements can be very high, her team-wide healing is nonetheless incredibly strong, particularly with her C1 unlocked. Although she scales with attack percent, she makes especially good use out of Prototype Amber for lower ER requirements and even more team-wide healing. On the other hand, we have a couple of options for team-wide on-field healers that can fit into certain team compositions, such as Barbara and Kokomi. On-field Kokomi provides team-wide healing and respectable damage while enabling and benefiting from Hydro Resonance. Kokomi also provides a good amount of off-field single ally healing with her skill, the duration of which can be extended through the use of her burst. For Dendro-based teams, consider using Yao Yao for her significant team-wide healing and Dendro application through her burst. She works best in AoE scenarios since these allow her to facilitate more Dendro reactions through her burst's pseudo-random targeting. Fontaine characters are generally categorized by their ability to manipulate their own health, making them automatically very synergistic with Furina. Chief amongst them is Neuvillette, the Udex of Fontaine. Neuvillette has great synergy with Furina. They lower each other's energy recharge requirements and enable Hydro Resonance to greatly benefit their own damage. Furina's buffs and personal damage outweigh losing a stack on Neuvillette's A1 passive. Neuvillette's special charge attacks drain and heal large amounts of his HP, which allows him to hit Furina's fanfare point cap all by himself. He can easily survive without a healer, freeing up a team slot for other units. Furina's other option for this role is Wriothesley, the Duke of Meropide. Wriothesley drains his HP when his empowered normal attacks hit, and can self-heal through his A1 passive. This allows him to gain a respectable amount of fanfare points. However, his skill does not take effect while he is below 50% health, which means a strong healer is valuable to maintain his damage. His preferred healer is Mika due to the attack speed buff and sustained healing Mika can provide, as we've previously mentioned. Hydro units synergize with Furina by enabling Hydro Resonance and decreasing each other's ER requirements. They can also supplement Furina's somewhat erratic Hydro application. Both Yelan and Xingqiu provide off-field single-target damage and Hydro application, energy particles, both Hydro and Favonius if equipped, and Hydro Resonance. Xingqiu provides interrupt resistance and damage reduction with his orbiting swords, as well as Hydro resistance shred at C2. On the other hand, Yelan provides a ramping damage buff, and all of her damage scales entirely off of her health, much like Furina herself, further benefiting from the Hydro Resonance. Another Hydro option is Nilou. Nilou's passives greatly empower Bloom teams, and Furina applies Hydro over a long duration and brings good single-target damage. Nilou's teams also tend to rapidly fluctuate in HP due to self-damage and healing, though healers may struggle to restore Nilou's enormous health pool. However, Furina's damage percent buff is mostly wasted in Nilou teams, where the damage comes primarily from bountiful cores that scale with Elemental Mastery and Dendro Res. The team-wide HP drain from Furina's skill also increases the likelihood of accidentally dying to Bloom self-damage. Thanks to her versatility and utility, Furina can be paired with a wide array of DPS options, such as Raiden, Eula, and even Noelle. Raiden is a powerful on-field DPS who also lowers her team's ER requirements through her burst team-wide energy refund. She can also act as an off-field Hyperbloom DPS using a full Elemental Mastery build with her skill having excellent range and uptime. Eula is a physical damage dealer who synergizes very well with Mika, who we've already covered earlier. Her Claymore attacks trigger Shatter, preventing her from maintaining freeze, but she nonetheless makes excellent use out of Furina's damage bonus, and can potentially run 4-piece Marechaussee Hunter instead of 4-piece Pale Flame. Noelle provides good damage output and team-wide healing during her burst. She can freely swap out of her burst without ending its duration, allowing for highly flexible team rotations. Noelle can equip 4-piece Archaic Petra to buff non-Geo teammates, or 4-piece Marechaussee Hunter for personal damage. Her non-existent particle generation necessitates either Favonius Greatsword or Geo teammates. If her ER requirements are low enough, she can still use Serpent Spine, as Furina's health drain does not remove stacks. As the Hydro Archon of Fontaine, Furina provides players with a wide plethora of reasons to pull her. From her fantastic off-field damage and buffing to her overworld exploration comfort, she's likely to bring you many benefits should you decide to pull for her. If you've pulled Furina and are still itching for more, or if you're simply debating going for her Constellations or signature weapon for other reasons, then this section of the video is for you. As previously mentioned, Furina's signature weapon is the 5-star sword Splendor of Tranquil Waters, and it is her best performing option by far. However, players may struggle to utilize it in teams where Furina's ER requirements are high. Additionally, players have to contend with the other weapon paired with it. It is not unlikely that players will lose to either a standard weapon or the partner weapon on the banner, and you may have to hit Pity 3 times to guarantee getting her signature weapon. In comparison, both C1 and C2 are incredibly powerful bonuses that Furina can make use of regardless of team, and require roughly the same amount of pulls as guaranteeing a 5-star weapon. That being said, Furina is incredibly powerful at C0 with freely accessible options. Players should not feel pressured to pull her weapon or her constellations in order to feel her strength. Thank you for watching the KQM guide for Furina. If you think we've missed anything or have any questions, please feel free to ask them in the comments below, where we will do our best to answer. Also, be sure to check out our Furina quick guide linked in the description if you are looking for an easy to reference written resource for the details within this video. Thanks again, and see you next time.